Hey guys, so this is for the Fiber Arts Club knitting meeting tomorrow, just so if anyone needs it, there is video tutorials. So today we will be learning just some basic stuff on how I do knitting at least. There's plenty of resources online if you'd also like to find them, but we're going to go from step one. So first, you'll all have your needles. There'll be different sizes just because for pricing reasons, but you'll all have yarn. Even though it might be different sizes, the same techniques and principles apply. So now we're going to get started. So first, you'll have your yarn. To cast it onto the needles, we're going to need to make something called a slip knot. To do that, we're going to make a loop in our yarn like this, just like cross it over. And see how we have this loop now? Then we're going to grab this yarn down here and put it through. So we'll have this like little twist at the bottom of our yarn here. And then we'll put that loop onto our needle and we'll pull the end tight. So now it's wrapping around our needle. That is how we start a cast on. Afterwards, we're going to need to put on however many stitches we want. To do that, you'll hold your yarn like this. This is coming from the ball of yarn, so it's called the working yarn, I believe. So you'll have it like this. Wrap it around your finger once. And see how there's like this gap here? You're going to put your needle through that, so you'll have this loop on your yarn. Then you'll pull it tight. And now we have a second stitch on there. So to do it again, closer. Loop, through, drop, pull. Loop, through, drop, pull. Loop, through, drop, pull. So now we have 5 stitches on our thing. And then we're going to do this for however many we want. For the sake of today's lesson, we'll just do about 10 stitches. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And when you're doing this, try not to make it too tight because that will make it harder later. So then you're going to grab your other needle. Some of you may have needles in the round, which means it's a needle about this big and then a bunch of string coming out of it. Don't worry about the strings for now because we're not casting on anything that long. So, and then to make it easier, let's space our stitches out by just like pulling it so you can see each and every one. Now, the way I do it is, see this loop at the very top? I pull on it a bit so it becomes a bit loose. I put my needle through. Well, I would put my needle through. I put my needle through, so we'll have something looking like this. Then we grab our working yarn and we wrap it around just the back needle. Or no, we wrap it around both. So we have our yarn back here and we're wrapping it all the way around. So it'll look like we have 2 loops on the front there. Then, once that's tight, we bring this yarn sideways. So, you know how we have this loop on this here? We're gonna have it wrapped around, and we're going to have to pull that thread through the loop. So, you have to angle your hook, or your needle. Okay, so let's go through that again. So you wrap it around, and then so once that's over, you'll have 1 loop transferred onto your hook here, or your needle. Sorry, I've been crocheting a lot. And now that that's there, we just slide it off. And now we have 1. And then we're going to repeat that process a few times. So stab it through, wrap it around, and pull through. There is a little mnemonic device for this, but it's a little gory, so I'm not going to say it fully. But let's think of it like we're carving pumpkins. We're going to stab it to get into the pumpkins. We're going to go around it, like scooping out the insides. And then we're going to pull it through, like we're pulling out all the seeds. And then we're pushing them all out. That might not be the best metaphor, but yeah. So we're gonna do that a few more times. Wrap, scoop, pull, wrap, scoop, pull, wrap, scoop, pull, wrap, scoop, pull. Once you get fast enough at this, you might not even have to hold the loops of yarn on your thing. I just do it because it's a little bit easier for me trying to get it in that way, because, you know, sometimes it's a little bit funky. So don't feel bad about if you have to hold the yarn. So now we have 7 on here, 3 on our starting needle. So then we're going to put it in, scoop, pull, pull. Put it in, loop, scoop, pull. And then we're at our last one now. So we will put it in, loop, scoop, scoop, pull. So you'll see we have all 10 of our stitches on here now. And see how it's not just loop, there's a little bit of thing there now? That is our first row of knitting. And you'll see now that all our stitches should be on here. What we're going to do is we're going to swap our hands. So if you're right-handed like me, you'll have started with loops on your left needle, transferred it over to your right. So this is your right needle now. Then we're gonna switch hands. So left, whichever needle has more stitches on it, it's going to be our left needle. So say if I had like 40 something stitches on here and 20 stitches on here, I'd be partway through a row of 60 stitches. But since this has more, we can tell that it's our starting stitch or starting needle. And you know, once you get at it, etc., etc. So let's do a few more rows of that. Twirl, scoop, pull, stab, twirl, scoop. Oh, and if I didn't make it clear before, if you're holding it like this is knitting. This is not a purl stitch. That is a different stitch. For now, we're just talking about straight knitting stitches because those are a bit easier to learn and you can make plenty of projects with just knitting stitches. So you'll stab it in from the top, you'll wrap it around, and you'll scoop, and you'll pull. Twirl, scoop, pull, stab, twirl, scoop, pull, stab, twirl, scoop, pull. So then once we have that, you'll see how there's building up. That is now our second row of knitting. And that is our basic tutorial for now. Hopefully this is helpful. And if you have any questions, call me over during the meeting.